Naz Shah. Naz Shah. Naz Shah.
I'm going to start by just referring to the Daily Mail, which ran an absurd story and wholly inaccurate story about cities like mine, Bradford, being a no-go area. This was based on a recently published book. Today I just want to set the record straight. Bradford is a young, energetic and diverse city where around 85 languages are spoken. Bradford is also the youngest city in Europe. Recent research shows on the 20 most entrepreneurial UK cities, Bradford came second. In 2020, 4,786 new businesses were created in the district, and the list goes on. But just like any other city, we do have our challenges. And the last 15 months have been extremely difficult on all fronts, and it does break my heart to say that this government has treated our children as an afterthought. Throughout the pandemic, and even now, they are neglecting them in the Education Recovery Fund, which simply does not go far enough. Sir Kevin Collins' resignation is a damning indictment of the Conservatives' catch-up plan, which is failing to deliver for our children. This government has thrown out his ideas and expertise as soon as it became about the need to stumping up the cash. We know that early years education is needing further investment. However, this government is choosing not to do anything about it. Over the last decade, this government, Madam Deputy Speaker, has slashed further education funding by a third and the adult education budget by half. Now, colleges have only been allocated funds to hold small group tutoring for the most disadvantaged 16 to 19-year-olds, students with no one-to-one support. The government recently admitted there had been £2.1 billion underspend from the apprenticeship levy fund since May 2019. Labour proposed a wage subsidy incentive to create 85,000 new apprenticeships for young people from the last year's underspend. The government must now look at our plans for giving our next generation their first step onto the ladder. Recent data published showed that 32,260 people were claiming unemployment benefit in Bradford. Of those claimants, 6,880 are aged between 18 and 24. Young people are desperate for jobs. Meanwhile, the Kickstart scheme has only created jobs for 3% of unemployed young people nearly a year after it was announced. Madam Deputy Speaker, this government must work with us to deliver our jobs promise, guaranteeing jobs, training or education and placements for all young people out of work for over 6 months. Youth clubs are the beating heart of our communities, working day in and day out to empower and advocate for young people. But youth services are on the brink of collapse due to the government cuts of 73% since 2010. The government must now deliver on their manifesto commitment to give £500 million to youth services. Despite this extremely difficult period and lack of funding, Bradford Council has worked extremely hard to support children and young people for a range of services, and this can only carry on with the right resources and funding. For example, when we're talking about exclusion of young people from school, less than 10 children were excluded in the years 2018 to 19 in the whole of Scotland and Ireland. But in England, several hundred were excluded, and poverty plays a big part in children's learning. Madam Deputy Speaker, there is no poverty of aspiration in Bradford West or in the whole of my city, but there is poverty, and poverty is growing. And with that, on that note, I want to really showcase Bradford, and I want to invite the Minister to Bradford and see firsthand what the city has to offer, and the Minister to commit to that this government will ensure cities like Bradford aren't neglected and left behind. I appreciate and value the Opportunities Fund and the increase in that, but that isn't enough for the youngest city in the whole of Europe, and I really would welcome the Minister to respond whether she'll accept my invitation so I can demonstrate and meet young people and meet the teachers who have done what they've done over this pandemic, meet those people who have got shortcomings in CAMS, put real investment where we really need it. If we want Generation COVID to be able to thrive for our future, the future of our country, then this government has some serious commitments to make, and I'd welcome an intervention from her for Bradford.